Hi, Steph. I have a question. How do I set up the Ampersand environment quick and easy? Please tell me how it's done.
Yes,
I'll share my screen.
so there are different ways to do this. Probably the most easy way is to use a code space on GitHub. For that, it's best if you navigate to the GitHub project template repo.
Okay, this is the
I
Ampersand.
see you already have the URL of that repo at hand, and that is, yeah, so it's on github.com in the repositories, and there we go to the project template. Yeah, if you select that one, yes. Now, this project template contains different ways of deploying an Ampersand prototype. I would like to show you the Docker way of installing it. A very handy thing is to use the code space. So if you hit the green button code on code space and then create a new code space there, yes. The reason this is useful is that the entire deployment is now being done on infrastructure from GitHub. So you can do this only with your own browser on the most simple laptop you've got, because everything happens on GitHub.
In the cloud. Okay.
In the cloud, yeah. And there's also ways to do it on your own laptop. Basically boils down to the same thing, but this is, I think, the most convenient and the most universally valid one. Now it's setting up your code space, and this may actually take a while.
Right.
That's because it starts compiling stuff, checking stuff, and what have you. So it may take some minutes to get this done. And what you have to wait for is the all good message. Then you know that you're set. You can go on. You can do the view logs to see some progress. This shows you that it's actually doing stuff.
I see. And it seems to be done.
Yeah, well, you don't have the all good message yet. So now it's brought up the Visual Studio Code editor.
Okay.
And you can start editing if you want to. But on the background, it's still continuing to build up the entire thing. You can see that everything's good. And now I'd like to walk you through the different parts of this repo, but let's just first start by just making an Ampersand model run. So you've got that scene, and then we can delve into some more detail. Now, if you go to your directory project, that is where you put your Ampersand source code. Example.adl is basically your Ampersand file. That's it. Now, you can choose any name you want there because it actually compiles main.adl. If you look at main.adl, there you can see it includes example.adl. So if you rename example.adl to something else, change it here too.
Right.
And you're fine. No, well, basically what you do is you put your own Ampersand code in example.adl. If you go look at that again. So here is a very small demo script. Let's just run this script. It's called hello world for obvious reasons. So let's run hello world. The way to do that, you give the command docker space compose space.
This is in code spaces. Maybe we should be in bash.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Yes, now we have a prompt and we can give commands.
Right.
Yeah, so you hit docker with a small letter. Small cap docker compose space up space -d space -- build. Now this is a very comprehensive command. It asks the -- build asks to build the whole thing, so it compiles it, it builds it, and the compose up -d deploys the whole thing. So basically this is all we need to do to get it up and running, and if everything works flawlessly, it will work. So hit the enter. And yes, we did forget a little thing. We have to provide a password for the database. And you can do that in the file .env, because we pass it as an environment variable. It's just that we don't have a .env yet, and this is an example file. And if you save it as .env, then you have your .env file. Yep, that's it. And you can give any password you want. It can be difficult, it can be easy, whatever you like, because you don't have to remember it. You just want to make sure that you do not store this in any repositories. And if ever you need to remember it, you can, of course, just look it up in the .env file. But this is the reason that .env is not stored in the repo, because that would mean that you publish a password in a public repository, which is not the idea.
No,
okay.
That's not a good thing, right?
Yeah. So now we're all set. Let's retry docker compose up -d -minus build. There we go, and you can now see that it starts pulling up images from the cloud. It's an image for PHP My Admin. That is an application that lets you peek into the database underneath. It's not something you want to do, but it can be useful for curiosity purposes. And the prototype DB is being pulled. Yep. And now it starts building.
Okay.
And here you can see that there's tons of images being used. All these letters, those are SHA keys.
All those dependencies are downloaded.
Yeah, they're all downloaded, and so the second time this will go a lot faster, because then it's got this stuff into its belly.
Okay.
So we'll also do that. Let's redeploy it after making a change, and you'll see that it's going to be a lot faster. So now it's making an image, and that concludes the build process. The build process ends with an image, and now this image is being deployed, and we're all done. And by courtesy of GitHub, we get this button, and we can open this in a browser. And lo and behold, here is our application. Wow. Now, you do have to reinstall this, because that initializes the database underneath.
Okay.
And also, if you want to start fresh with your application, you can always hit this reinstall the application button, which basically gives you a fresh new database under your Ampersand prototype.
Right.
Now, this is your first Ampersand program. And what you see here is a yellow message. It sounds a little bit scary, violation, but don't be scared by that. Just please click on the registration to specify your name. And then you specify your name. And the yellow message disappears. It shows you that yellow messages are a signal to you that there's work to be done.
Okay.
So here's your Hello World application.
Very nice. It's working.
Yeah. So summarizing, we've spun up a code space on the project template on GitHub. And then in that code space, we've ensured that our Ampersand source code is in the directory project. Then we did docker compose up -d -- build.
Yeah, and we find that we had to enter the passwords in the environment.
Correct. Yeah.
And then the build completed.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.